Will he be an engineer, a paramedic, a firefighter, a physicist, a doctor? The truth is, I don't know. And that's exactly the point. Having raised and launched 3 older kids, I've learned that what excites them at 16 or 17 is not necessarily what will excite them in their 20s. What matters is that they have space to explore who they are, what they care about, go down those rabbit holes, and learn about themselves. They don't explore things because that's who they think they should become later. And that is the heart of a personalized homeschool high school. This morning, my daughter and I were sitting on the Adirondack chairs overlooking the river. Somewhere in that conversation, we began a conversation about homeschooling high school and how people tend to panic around the experience of homeschooling high school. And since she went through homeschool high school herself and has now lived to tell the tale herself, she has thoughts about why she chose to do it and what she wished she would have done differently. We were also overhearing people's concerns about it and marveling at the fears and anxieties around it, and we both agreed that the ultimate goal of homeschooling high school isn't about reinforcing the education system's goals in our lives, and it ain't about reinforcing the societal goals for our lives either, but actually choosing our own life purpose and path. And isn't that what homeschooling really is all about? Is it really all about checking off the boxes in the high school years so that you're college prep ready? We likely got out of the habit of checking off boxes in the elementary homeschool years, or at least hopefully we did. So why would we want to do it in high school? And if in the back of your head you're saying, well, I don't want them to miss out on something, I want to reassure you, they will. But they'll also have an incredible amount of opportunities to do things they would never have been able to do if they were in conventional high school. And if in the back of your mind you're thinking, but what about college? You can get into college. You do not need to have a conventional schooled approach. How do I know? Because the particular kiddo I was chatting with this morning, she didn't have a conventional approach. And she's presently working toward her 2nd degree in sciences. But she's one amongst many. I have met many homeschool high school teens who took a very unconventional approach to their learning, didn't even get graduation diplomas in their provinces, states, or countries, and still went on to a post-secondary school if they wanted to, because some of them didn't. But many of them actually did. And so to all of that, I say, what is the ultimate purpose of a homeschool high school anyway? Is it about you checking off the boxes? Heck no, I don't think so. It's about you preparing your child to live a purposeful life. And guess what? They don't have to start living their purposeful life at 17 or 18 either. They can start living it right now. And if they do it now, they're going to be doing it when they're 25, 42, 52, and 76. So what's the ultimate purpose behind a personalized homeschool high school? They can live their purposeful life. Welcome to the Confident Homeschool Mom Podcast. I'm Teresa Wiedrich, homeschool life coach, graduated homeschool mom, and author of the book, Homeschool Mama Self-Care, Nurturing the Nurturer. This is the podcast for the mom who looks capable on the outside, but feels scattered and uncertain on the inside. I spend my days being the support, the clarifier, and the cheerleader for the woman behind the homeschool family, because my work focuses inward. Most homeschool overwhelm has nothing to do with curriculum. It has everything to do with the pressure, the perfectionistic tendencies, and the old stories we carry inside. I believe you are the most important curriculum in your homeschool, and you deserve a seat at your homeschool table too. If you want to ditch the one-size-fits-all model and design a meaningful high school experience based on your teen's real interests, their strengths, and their goals, you can. When my son was little, he was deeply into Lego, Minecraft, and Roblox. Does that sound familiar? I bet it does for a bunch of you. Like many moms, I found myself wondering, is he going to be an engineer? Of course, loving to build might simply mean he loves to build and he enjoys creative play. But as he's grown, these early interests have taken shape in ways I wasn't expecting. When he was 16, he was fully immersed in AP Physics, passionately trying to explain it to me, a mom who, let's just say, opted out of physics altogether in high school. In case you're also not fluent in physics, it's the study of how the universe works, from motion and matter to forces and energy. And according to my teen, it's the language behind roller coasters and rocket launches and coffee machines. Okay, so maybe I want to know a little bit about the coffee machine thing. So naturally, a couple years ago, we started planning a post-secondary tour of engineering programs in our province. But then, plot twist, he began volunteering at our local rural fire hall. Thanks to a provincial grant, he gets paid to train, and he even gets hands-on experience with emergency equipment and fire safety. He loves the team dynamics and truck maintenance and gear talk. He even took a first responders weekend course. And so with his dad being an ER physician, their conversation sounded like a medical podcast when they were driving home together. Will he be an engineer, a paramedic, a firefighter, a physicist, a doctor? The truth is, I don't know. And that's exactly the point. Having raised and launched 3 older kids, I've learned that what excites them at 16 or 17 is not necessarily what will excite them in their 20s. What matters is that they have space to explore who they are, what they care about, go down those rabbit holes, and learn about themselves. And that is the heart of a personalized homeschool high school. As a homeschool parent approaching the high school years, you might find yourself fielding questions from well-meaning relatives or friends or strangers, and they might be asking you, but what about college, right? How will they get a diploma? Aren't you worried about gaps in your kids' education? These questions come from a conventional lens, and they often miss the deeper, more meaningful reality of that personalized homeschool high school. That's an education that honors who your teen is, what they care about, and how they learn best. The traditional high school model often follows a rigid formula. 4 years, prescribed courses, probably standardized testing, college prep, but personalized homeschooling invites us to pause and ask more important questions. Not did we do enough? Did we check off the boxes? Did we give them all the courses, all the exposure? But instead, who is this teen in front of me? What are his or her natural strengths, their curiosities? What are their goals? How do they learn best? And how can we make learning meaningful? At times, I'm hearing moms concerned that they're lowering the bar for their kids. Do you relate? They're worried that they're not enabling their kids to learn how to learn even when they don't want to learn, to make it hard and be able to go through hard things. I get it. I certainly thought those things at times. But I think it's not so much lowering the bar as much as it is raising the relevance to that child. It's about designing a path that grows with your teen, not boxing them into a one-size-fits-all plan like everyone else is doing. A major source of anxiety for homeschool parents is a pressure to cover everything and to have no gaps. But here's our reality. Even traditionally schooled students with perfect grades, which, did you know anybody with perfect grades? We all still have gaps. You have gaps, right? What matters most is not checking every box. It's about cultivating a love of learning, teaching critical thinking, giving teens skills to learn what they need to know when they need it. As one seasoned homeschool mom said, everyone has gaps. The difference is, homeschool teens often know how to fill those gaps. And as the medical professional I'm married to once told me, I can resuscitate you, but I don't know how to build a chicken coop. Gaps. Everyone's got them. I got a chicken coop, but he didn't build it. But he's never resuscitated me. He's never needed to, but he has with other people. So I use him as an example. He's not able to build a chicken coop. He can't do the electrical wiring in my home, but he can do a lot of things. And that is every single person we know. They have capacity, they have specialization, but not in everything. If you're listening to this and you're like, okay, that sounds good, but actually putting it into practice, ooh, it makes you feel overwhelmed, but add this homeschool high school conversation to your already overwhelmed homeschool mom state, then this might really feel like it's pushing you over the edge. If you've been in a place where you feel overwhelmed or you feel like, I don't know if I can do all of that and do the other kids' homeschooling, or I don't know if I can add one more thing to my world, it might actually be valuable for you to get clear on the roots of your overwhelm. In the last 6 years, as I've been walking alongside moms, I've learned that there are typically 7 things that overwhelm homeschool moms. And it's anecdotal research, but I keep seeing it on repeat. No matter how people homeschool, no matter where people come from or how they think about the world and life, they typically are overwhelmed by 7 things. If you're in a place where you are feeling overwhelmed or stressed or frustrated by the homeschool mom life, I encourage you to take the quiz that helps you to get clear on the hidden roots underneath that overwhelm. I have a free 5-minute quiz called What's Really Driving Your Homeschool Overwhelm? It'll look at your emotional load, your capacity and energy, your identity and your self-trust, your relationships and your connection, your mental clarity and decision fatigue, your boundaries and personal space, your vision, and your general sense of fulfillment. In under 5 minutes, you'll get a clear picture of where you're thriving, where you're stretched too thin, and what you need to attend to. If you're interested, the link is in the show notes. This has been a very helpful quiz for many women, hundreds of women at this point, and I've only released this in the last months or so. So if you resonate with any of the things that I just shared, I encourage you to check out the link in the show notes. Do it before you do anything else. So let's talk about teen-led learning. The high school years are a time of individuation. That means when teens are starting to carve out an identity that's different from yours. You might remember it when you were a teenager. That might look like questioning long-held family decisions, including homeschooling itself, which is normal. It's developmentally appropriate, although also undeniably surprising at times. And also annoying at times. I'm just saying, but it can be annoying and surprising for sure. Some teens might stick with homeschooling through high school. Others might want to try a co-op or community college class or dual enrollment. Some may choose to return home again after testing those things. And some might even pursue public or private school. A personalized homeschool high school allows flexibility. It meets your teens where they are. Remember me describing my 16-year-old and his physics, fire hall, and medical training journey? He's exploring. He's sampling things, and he's curious. And guess what? That's exactly what these years are for. Or they can be, anyway. They're not necessarily if they are in a high school. Truly, I believe all of life can be like that. But I digress. For this conversation, I want to encourage you that just because your teen is passionate about something now doesn't mean they'll stick with it forever. And just because we adults once chose a path at age 17 or 18 doesn't mean we'll still be doing it today. Raise your hand if you've changed careers since graduating high school. I sure have. There was no such thing as a life coach as far as I knew. Didn't even know it existed if it did. I think we need to stop asking teens, what will you do for the rest of your life? Who's going to say, I know? They don't know. We all don't know. Instead, we can ask, what interests you right now? And how can I support you in exploring that? We so often approach high school with tunnel vision. We're focused on college prep or maybe trade school, but we just aren't thinking outside the box, and we already have been in the box. So why are we trying to keep ourselves in a box? Statistics show that 70 to 80% of college freshmen change their majors during their first year. I did. Did you? Most adults aren't working in the field they plan to enter at 18. And post-homeschooling, I'm also not in the same field that I was pre-homeschooling. This suggests we might better serve our teens by helping them discover their genuine interests and strengths and develop skills like critical thinking and independent learning and organization and so many things. We can help them gain real-world experiences with internships and volunteering and entrepreneurship. We can help them build a portfolio showcasing their capabilities and achievements. and explore their potential paths without making them sign up for a 4-year degree. Not that I'm against college. I really am not. Because the story that I didn't share is that actually my son, who graduated just a couple weeks ago, is actually going to engineering school. So it turns out he is doing something traditional. But I've also got a kiddo that isn't doing something traditional. And I know a lot of kiddos that are not my kiddos who have done very non-traditional things and lived a very meaningful life. If you're wondering how to personalize your teen's homeschool path in real time, here are just a few simple ways to begin. Start taking notice of their interests. Create like an inventory, like you're actually keeping track. Ask them what they're really curious about. What do they love? But then also notice, what do they actually love doing in their spare time when you're not prescribing activities? You want to tailor their academics, their more formal learning opportunities, to include subjects or electives, if you call them that support their interests. Look for real-world experience or internships or mentorship or shadow a professional if you have an opportunity. Anything that might spark his interest. The more he knows about himself, the more he knows about the activities he's not interested in, but also the ones that he's kind of curious about, the more he'll get clear on what he actually wants to do. Let them co-create their schedule with you, choosing electives or reflecting on what their intentions are behind all these activities. Keep record of the learning activities that they engage in, whether it is formal courses or just a preoccupation with something. Write it all down because you'll later be able to build a transcript and a portfolio. Unless your teen has a really specific professional track, like medicine or engineering, there are 1,000,001 ways to thrive post-high school, to live a meaningful life. Of course, you can think in apprenticeships. If someone is doing a job, your child can learn that job alongside them. Or trades or certifications or community college or entrepreneurship. I think that might be the wave of the future right now. If AI is going to influence all the things going forward, then surely entrepreneurship will always be available to humans because entrepreneurship is really just solving a problem. You finding a way to solve a problem and letting people know it's available to them. Clearly, I have a bias toward entrepreneurship. You can find out for sure by asking each of my kids, because yes, I do. But you know what? Sometimes kids need gap years or travel experiences, or maybe they just want to go get a job. The definition of success should align with your teen's strengths, their goals, who they really are, not just based on what society thinks is successful. If college is on the horizon, no worries. Your teen's learning can absolutely be documented and presented professionally. I've done it. Other women have done it. Vicki Tillman from the Homeschool High School podcast offers a transcript workshop to help you do exactly that. You can learn how to create course descriptions and credit hours, and you can incorporate samples of work. Make sure to mention extracurriculars because they are meaningful courses of learning, volunteer work, and letters of recommendation, and of course, personal reflections or essays. Colleges are increasingly open to homeschoolers, especially those who show initiative, self-direction, and passion. Exactly what this conversation is all about. But maybe the greatest treasure of a personalized homeschool high school experience is this: the deepening relationship between you and your teen. While their peers are often pulled away from family in traditional settings, homeschooling often shares more shared time, more conversation, more opportunities to hang out in the car together, and also hang out in the garden and hang out in the kitchen cooking and doing all sorts of things during their days. Of course, there's going to be tension and conflict. There's going to be pushback and resistance. But when we center learning around who they are becoming, we create a space, a family, an environment where trust and connection are the focus. That is probably the best thing. As you're walking through the homeschool high school years, remember that the goal is not to predict their future. It's to support their present. The beauty of this life is that your kids get permission to explore and become more them, to get to know themselves more. And they do it at their own pace and in their own way. I'm confident you're raising a capable, curious human being. Let them do it and be it. Because I think that's the most important success of all. But if you're still carrying that weight of overwhelm as you are moving into these high school years, as many homeschool moms experience, I want to remind you about that free 5-minute quiz I mentioned earlier. You started this homeschool journey with the vision, but right now it might feel like you've lost the map. That's exactly what this assessment is designed to help you find again. So take the quiz first. The link is in the show notes. And then if your results show you caring too much and maybe you want to go deeper and learn how to address that, you'll have an opportunity to book your free Aligned Homeschool Reset session with me directly. We'll get on a call together, figure out where you're feeling stuck or overwhelmed, and we find a path forward that fits you and your family. Both links are in the show notes. Thanks for joining me today. Did we walk the dog? Did you shine the taps? Ha, just kidding. Don't shine the taps. You have no time for that. I'd love to hear how this episode landed for you. Just shoot me a message on social, or better yet, share your thoughts in a podcast review wherever you listen to this episode, or if you're watching on YouTube, I'd love to hear it. Just mention it in the comments below. I want to remind you, you matter in your homeschool life, not just as the educator and the planner and the one who holds it all together, but as a whole person, needs and desires, and a life worth nurturing. Every small intentional shift you make ripples outward into your kids, into your home, and into you. You just have to take one small step toward alignment. That's what we do here together. If today's episode resonated, please hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And if you know another homeschool mom who might resonate with this discussion, share this with her. It might be exactly what she needs. We'll see you next week.